Fresh dangers as the death toll in Italy's earthquake rises to 250. Now aftershocks rattle rescue equipment and endanger workers looking for survivors. Their successes are tinged with sadness. She survived, her sister didn't.
Also tonight, a children's A&E suspends services. Staff shortages mean it's just not safe.
Nigel Farage.
Trump hails Farage the Brexit victor as the former UKIP leader rubbishes his opponent.
If I was an American citizen, I wouldn't vote for Hillary Clinton if you paid me.
Okay, it's good, it's okay.
And they are happy, but overall GCSE grades are down as many have another go.
This is the ITV Evening News with Alistair Stewart and Charlene White.
Good evening. In Italy, rescue workers who have now found more than 250 men, women and children dead faced fresh dangers themselves today. A series of aftershocks hit the earthquake region northeast of Rome. The battered remains of buildings shook and rescue equipment swayed. That as hundreds remain missing.
Amid the misery and devastation, even rare moments of relief were tinged with sadness. A 10-year-old girl was found alive after being trapped for 17 hours in Pescara del Tronto, but her sister had died. From there, our correspondent Emma Murphy reports.
It's 36 hours since the first quake, and the aftershocks are seemingly endless. This one, measuring 5.4, brought fear to an already traumatised population and greater danger to those working through what is already damaged. And what damage? This is Pescara del Tronto. These images are of destruction on such a scale which makes them almost impossible to take in. In fact, such is the damage in this small mountainside town, it looks more like a film set than somewhere people lived their lives. On the ground, it still seems unreal, and yet a closer look gives a glimpse into the lives which were lived here, and for some, lost here. Even the bishop tells me he's no words to offer comfort, relying instead on spiritual closeness, a physical closeness, and silence to help people through. There were around 1,000 people in the town when the quake struck. Incredibly, most were able to escape. So far, 45 bodies have been pulled from these broken buildings, but there are others buried deep beneath. No one knows for sure how high this death toll will rise. There are moments of joy, like when this worker shouted that he thought there was a child and called for silence. They carefully move the debris surrounding the legs of a girl that they believe is called Giulia. With words of reassurance, they carefully begin to inch her out from the rubble, which she has been trapped in for 15 hours. She is 10 years old and pulled out alive. It was a moment of hope, but there is much desperation and a feeling that the time for rescues is now past.
We use the dogs, they are looking for now in this moment, but no sign of people alive now.
For some, there's been a chance to retrieve a few belongings, abandoned as they ran for their lives.
I'm angry with God.
You're angry with God?
I'm angry with God. And I try to think positive and to go away.
And go away is what many others will now have to do. It's unlikely these homes will ever be salvaged, and few feel particularly confident about living here now.
And Emma, the Foreign Office here is saying that some Britons have been caught up in the earthquake.
In the last hour, we've heard from the Foreign Office. They've been liaising very closely with the Italian authorities over the past 36 hours. And we now know that a number of Britons have been caught up in the tragedy that has affected a large part of this area. The Foreign Office will not be drawn on detail. However, we understand a number of Britons, we think around a handful, have been injured. We don't know how seriously. It obviously has taken some time to establish that information because it is very difficult to know who is in the hospitals here whilst identification is underway.
Emma, thank you.
Here, a hospital in Stafford has suspended children's A&E services because a lack of qualified and experienced staff made it unsafe. The serious measures were brought in this morning at the county hospital. Well, earlier this week, ITV News revealed how many NHS trusts in England are cancelling acute care because of a frequent staff shortage problem. Our health editor, Rachel Younger, has more.
Hello Angel, my name's Kathleen. I'm one of the junior doctors in the department.
There are few things more stressful than having a child in A&E, but at least you know they're in the right place. So imagine turning up to your local hospital to find that in the interests of patient safety, if you're under 18, the doors are closed.
It's about ensuring that you've got at least 2 people, probably a doctor and nurse, on all the time the department is open, who've got the level of expertise focused on childcare, not general care.
So you don't have the numbers of staff who have that professional training and experience needed?
I don't currently have enough staff in our organisation that we can guarantee supplying that, that's correct.
Exactly how long the suspension will last depends on how quickly the trust can recruit the right staff. The problem is it's not the only hospital struggling to fill the gaps. In Lincolnshire, Grantham's A&E has been closing at night since last week. In fact, alongside the 2 Midlands hospitals, an ITV investigation found 16 other trusts have suspended acute services in the past year. From as far away as North Devon, which temporarily suspended some emergency admissions, to East Sussex, which closed a paediatric ward 5 times.
After the Francis review into the dreadful consequences of understaffed wards at this same hospital, there's been a much sharper focus nationally on patient safety. The question now is whether in some parts of our overstretched NHS, there are still enough staff to maintain that.
NHS Improvements defended the closures, saying the safety of patients is paramount. But whether it's longer waits or longer journeys, the pressure is showing. Rachel Younger, ITV News, Staffordshire.
The brother of one of the 5 friends who drowned off a Sussex beach said they could have been saved if there'd been a lifeguard. The young men who were on a day trip from London and who could all swim were dragged out to sea at Camber Sands yesterday. It is thought they were caught by a quickly rising tide. From East Sussex, Sejal Carrier reports.
Camber Sands was once again packed with families enjoying a day at the beach. Only a police patrol hinting at the tragedy that had unfolded here just 24 hours earlier, when 5 young men lost their lives. They were named tonight as brothers Kennigan and Kobe Nathan, who were 19 and 22, and their friends Indusan Shri, Kurushant Shrithavaraja and Natharsan Ravi. They'd come for a day trip from London, but never made it home. Mr. Ravi's brother told ITV News the family was struggling with his loss.
It's like a black day for us, so literally everyone's stone cold, as like we don't know what exactly to do, because we feel like them people are next to us, they are with us, but at the end they lost their lives in this ocean.
The sea looks serene today, as it did when it claimed the men's lives, but these calm waters belie the hidden dangers of a strong current, and that's what police believe the 5 friends were caught up in. James Hyatt has been running a cafe here for more than 30 years and knows the risks.
If you look out to sea there now, you'll see there's gullies that run out there, and that makes a difference of 2 or 3 feet. And if you're the other side of that and you've got an incoming tide, when you want to come back, you may be in 4 foot of water, but then all of a sudden you're in 7 foot. And if you're only 6'2" or 5'8", your head's going to go below it.
Camber Sands is one of Britain's most popular beaches, but there are now concerns over its safety. Only last month, another swimmer died here. As a result, tonight the RNLI is revising its advice for not only this stretch of beach, but all beaches.
What we would encourage people to do is make sure they are trying to choose a lifeguarded beach when they head to the coast. There are plenty to choose from, and when you're there, swim between the red and yellow flags. That means you've got a trained professional on hand to respond if there is an emergency.
With 6 deaths here in the last month and a further 7 around the UK's coastline, visitors are being urged to stay safe at the seaside. There have now been 12 deaths this week alone. And with an August bank holiday coming up, when many more people are expected to flock to Britain's beaches, that safety message is being reinforced tonight, and people are being urged to respect the water.
Sejal, thank you.
6 suspected migrants have been intercepted by Coast Guards in the English Channel. Their small dinghy was found off the coast of Kent early this morning. The vessel was towed to shore by a patrol ship. The men are now being questioned by Border Force officers.
Meanwhile, net migration to the UK remains at record levels, new figures have shown. In the year to March, 327,000 more people came to live here than those who left. It includes a record number from New, Romania and Bulgaria.
Nigel Farage was cheered by thousands of Donald Trump supporters overnight as the former UKIP leader shared a stage with the presidential candidates at a Republican rally. Mr Farage boasted about Brexit and, to roars of approval, said he wouldn't vote for Hillary Clinton, even if she paid him. Penny Marshall was at the rally in Mississippi.
Nigel Farage.
The Republicans have a new headline act, here to tell the losing side how he won against the odds in Britain.
We made June the 23rd our Independence Day when we smashed the establishment.
And he knew how to please the Trump crowd.
If I was an American citizen, I wouldn't vote for Hillary Clinton if you paid me. In fact, I wouldn't vote for Hillary Clinton if she paid me.
Billed as Mr Brexit, Farage had some motivational advice.
Anything is possible if enough decent people are prepared to stand up against the establishment.
Nigel Farage has come here to boost the Trump campaign with his tale of anti-establishment victory for the people. And he says there are parallels. The pollsters and the pundits can be wrong.
Donald Trump also sees parallels in Brexit.
The multinational banks, the media celebrities, the big donors tried to scare the British people. The same thing is happening right here in the United States.
And the English star turn worked for the crowd.
It was very interesting, and I like him. Maybe he can move to America. We'd love to have him in the Senate or even in our Congress.
I think it was noble and honorable of y'all, and I really hope we follow through. He was awesome. Y'all should be proud of him.
But is Farage proud to be supporting a man whose views have offended so many?
I've seen some of the things that he said earlier in the campaign. I thought, I really looked very sideways at some of those comments.
Which one?
The ones directed at women and some of the sort of total blanket comments that we saw about Muslim people, for example. But there was nothing he said tonight that people could find to be offensive in any way at all.
Nigel Farage secured his place in British history, but despite a crowd-pleasing performance, he remains a footnote in this divisive American campaign. Penny Marshall, ITV News, Jackson, Mississippi.
Still to come on the ITV Evening News, quotes, "I owe nothing to BHS." The disgraced former boss speaks to our business editor, Joel Hills.
And the Olympian selling his silver medal to raise funds for a little boy with a rare form of cancer. All those stories and more after the break. Welcome back. The disgraced former boss of BHS has told ITV News he's no plans to give back the £1 million he took out of the collapsed firm. As the final stores close this weekend, Dominic Chappelle says he'll be exonerated and instead blamed Sir Philip Green. He spoke exclusively to our business editor, Joel Hills.
The last days of BHS, this store in York, one of just 22 that remain. And on Sunday, the company ceases trading for good. 11,000 people will have lost their jobs. 22,000 staff face the prospect of less generous pensions.
Well, I'm very sorry that it's actually ended up this way. It didn't need to end up this way, and it has done. I feel very bitter about it.
Dominic Chappell bought BHS from Sir Philip Green last year for £1, 4 weeks after a damning report by MPs labelled him a chancer. He's now responding.
MPs concluded you had your hands in the till, that you were out of your depth, incompetent and self-serving. That's pretty devastating stuff.
No, I don't accept we were incompetent at all. Myself and my team worked extremely hard to turn this company around, and we made significant inroads to do that.
How much money have you made from BHS? Because on the face of it, it looks like millions.
It's not millions. It's not millions by any stretch of the imagination. It costs a vast amount of money for us to get into this deal, and it's costing a vast amount of money now. Then? Around £1 million.
Will you hand back any money to
No,
BHS?
I won't.
Why not?
We were stitched up. This was a company that was in far worse shape when we got into it. Philip did not stand good on his promises. Philip told us that he would sort out the pension regulator. He did not. He told us he would sort out the suppliers. He did not. The company failed because of those two issues.
MPs judged that Sir Philip Green was ultimately responsible for BHS's failure. Green has spent the last month on his boat off the coast of Greece, refusing interview requests, but he insists he sold BHS in good faith and left £400 million in the business for a turnaround. He's pledged to sort the pension deficit, but hasn't yet said how. Joel Hills, ITV News.
The Yorkshire Ripper, Peter Sutcliffe, has been moved out of Broadmoor Psychiatric Hospital and back into jail.
The 70-year-old has spent most of the last 32 years inside the high-security institution after murdering 13 women and attempting to kill 7 more.
Now, if you've got children or grandchildren of a certain age, then you'll either be congratulating or consoling them over their GCSE results today. Whilst there was much to celebrate for 16-year-olds, this year saw a dramatic decline in the top grades, partly due to a rush of older teenagers resitting maths and English. Ben Chapman was with students in Coventry as they found out if they'd made the grade.
I got a B. Oh my god! Oh my god, I've got an A. What?
Disbelief, delight, disappointment. For the first time in most of their lives, it was the day 2 years of hard work came down to the opening of an envelope.
Okay, it's good, it's okay.
I did better than I was expecting, and I'm very satisfied because I got the grades to get into sixth form.
I'm not 100% happy, but I've got an A, so that's something.
The students here are generally very satisfied with the contents of their envelopes. This school has improved its performance for the 3rd year running, but across the country there's been a sharp decline in results. The gender gap is widening. 71% of girls got at least a C compared with 62% of boys. Overall, the figure was 66.9%, down from 69% last year. That's because for the first time, students who'd previously failed to get a C in English or maths have had to resit them, a policy criticised by some teachers.
What we know is that youngsters can improve a little bit on their performance at 16, whereas youngsters who've got E's and F's will find it extremely difficult to upgrade to a C.
Ministers say resits should be welcomed as a way of improving young people's job prospects. And here the head teacher, who sat the RE paper herself this year and fell short of an A, says it's good the exams have got tougher in recent years.
I welcome the rigour in the system. I think it's good for children. It's good to set high expectations. And once again, our children have risen to that task.
But next year will bring more changes to the way GCSEs are graded. And whatever they got, it's unlikely to be the last time these students face the roller coaster of results day. Ben Chapman, ITV News, Coventry.
And finally tonight, the Olympic medalist who's giving a sporting chance to a little boy suffering from a rare form of eye cancer.
Polish discus thrower Piotr Malachowski has sold his precious silver medal to pay for the treatment of 3-year-old Olek Szymanski. As Duncan Golostani reports, he says Olek's health is much more valuable.
Malachowski led for most of the final.
Piotr Malachowski went to the Rio Games aiming for a gold. He was disappointed to come second, but in his words, fate has given him a chance to increase the value of his silver medal. He hopes he can use it to help this 3-year-old. Olek has been struggling with retinoblastoma, a rare eye cancer. So Malachowski is auctioning his medal. He wants to help Oleg's family raise the £95,000 needed to send him to New York for treatment.
I've been thinking about it from the beginning. The medal should bring luck not only to me and my friends, fans, but to someone else. If money is crucial in Oleg's treatment, then we have to act. You need to act quickly in order to get the desired effect.
Oleg's mother wrote to the Olympian with congratulations and asked for help in saving her son. She had no idea he would respond with such a big-hearted gesture.
We want to do everything to be able to look into Oleg's eyes in the future and say we really did everything we could.
With the bidding over, enough money has been raised to pay for Oleg's treatment. Malachowski said his silver medal is now worth so much more than it was a week ago. Duncan Golostani, ITV News.
Oh, good work, Piotr. Right, that's all for now. Tom Bradby will be here with news at 10.
But from the team here, a very good evening to you.
Goodbye.